Alright guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Crashcourse. Today I'm going to show you how to take some pretty cool shallow depth of field shots, something along this type of depth obsessed if you're familiar with that style on YouTube, using water, some fairy lights, and some basic camera know-how. Alright guys, let's get into it. Alright guys, so for shooting this shot, I'm going to be using the Rokinon 24mm f1.4 lens. Again, it's made by Rokinon or under sub-brand of Samyang. Now this is a 24mm f1.4, so that means the aperture blades in the back can open up to a whopping f1.4. This lets a tremendous amount of light in. This also lets it create a very out of focus and soft background when this is on the camera. So when shooting shots like this, it's not the camera that has to live up to the standards. It's the lens. All right, guys. When it comes to shooting a shot, I'm going to be doing this with fairy lights. I'll link them in the description where you can buy them. They're really cheap, like $5 for a 5-foot string or whatever like this. So. If you're shooting downtown, like in a city or whatever, you can use the lights from cars going by. But because I'm on my backyard, on my table, I'm just going to create a ball of bokeh, or what is soon to be bokeh, like this. Just create a huge wall of it. Now this is going to be, turn into what we would call bokeh, which is dots of light which exaggerate in time or when the lens is out of focus in the background. So whatever, these will become little balls of light, which look very nice and are ideal for this type of scenery. So something like that should be good. Let's move on to the camera now and see what we can get. Here's a quick demonstration. As you guys can see in this shot, pretty much everything is in focus. The fairy lights are the blown out lights in the background. They're just sitting there in the ball of string lights that we have left them in. And now if I just change the focus on this camera, you guys can see how as I start to focus more on this part in here, the lights which are in focus here are now little balls of hot spots or whatever, highlights, and they just add this very unique and dynamic look to the scene. And that's what I'm going to be using for the scene. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be changing the focus to focus on this area in here, these little weaves of metal going in and out, and then having the lights in the background as another part of interest, which aren't too distracting, but they add light to the scene and a little bit more dynamic and mood and just overall contrast to the scene. It just adds that look, the depth obsessed look, if you will. Alright guys, so now that we got the lights set up here, we can introduce the camera to the scene and check it out. Look what we got here, guys. When I put the camera in there, we get this. Now you guys can see the lines interweave here, and that creates a cool look. And in the background we have our bokeh. So now we can just kind of change our focus here to find something that's more ideal, and I think somewhere along here is pretty good. Take a picture, and there it is. So now that we took in the picture, we might just want to change a little bit more things up, maybe like right around there, realign the bokeh, take the picture again, and there you go. That's how simple as it is. For this shot, I am mainly focusing it to the closest possible, which would be just right in front of the lens. And then you can see like my finger right here, right there in front of the lens, which is literally like half an inch in front of it. And then I have my aperture opened up to f1.4. As you guys can see, if I was using f3, this is like f3 right here, not the dots of bokeh in the background aren't as dynamic anymore. And when I open them up all the way to f1.4, they are way larger and look way more cool, in my opinion. You can also maybe decrease the aperture size. You just have to change the ISO settings here real quick. Just open that up a little bit more. ISO 1600. Take the picture, and then between before and after, bokeh changed a little bit, but we also have a little bit more depth of field in the foreground. So that's an idea. The next thing to do is add a little bit of water to the scene. That will create some more reflections in the beginning, in the foreground here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. Unfortunately for this scene, I have to turn the light on so you can see what I'm doing. It's too dark. I tried it before. It's too dark. So this time I'm doing it with the light on. As you guys can see, just have a plain glass of water here. Nothing too special about it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it on the metal right in front of the camera. You can have as much fun as you want with this. It doesn't look like much right now, but once we add the camera and lens to this, it's going to be this is going to create a very dynamic shot. And although it doesn't seem like much, we've got a little bit of water there We have completely emptied the glass. I've made a complete mess on the ground underneath the table. But you know what? What you're gonna see next is gonna be very cool, and I believe you're gonna really like this style. So let's bring the camera in. All right, guys. So what you can probably see now is we have a little bit of water reflecting over here because I waved my hand over it. It kind of puts it in front of it. So the extra bokeh, or the reflection of the fairy lights that you have in the back, is now on the table, and it's dispersed in a way that's interesting. So if you're doing this like in a city, for example, just bring like a spray bottle with you, spray down the ground that you're going to be shooting. It will add that much more to the shot, and that's really cool. So I'm just going to put the camera in here, and now look what the camera sees. We have this weird, let me zoom in on this for you. Look at that. It's this weird type of bokeh. It almost reminds me of like when you use a prism, like a triangle prism. You see that a lot in Brandon Wolfel style. And pretty much it just adds a cool effect. So get your camera focused up here, right on the part where you want it to be in focus. Take your picture, and now check it out, guys. We have a really cool, unique shot that you wouldn't have been able to take otherwise. It just adds so much more to the image. Just a little bit of water, not that big of a mess. Just adds so much more dynamic to the image. It just adds so much more. I say dynamic a lot, but it adds a lot more to the image as compared to when we had nothing on the table. Now this might be overkill for you, but depending on your situation, it can add just that much more to the image. It can either make or break an image, so be careful how you use it. But if you use it right, it can be a super powerful tool in your creativity.